So, we're going to die at Winterfell.
What's up, Rad Lads? Welcome to Radioactive Recap, your radioactive recap for shows, movies, and video games. I'm your host, Adrian A., and today we're covering an all-time favorite of mine, Game of Thrones. We're in the 8th and final season of Game of Thrones, and with the Battle of Winterfell on its way, I'm covering episodes 1 and 2 of Season 8. This is the 68th episode in the series overall, and was a great way to start things off after being off the air for nearly 2 years. Without further ado, let's get the show started. We get a new intro animation that had me rewinding my DVR multiple times to make sure I caught all the details. We're now starting from the Night King's perspective, as his army breaks through the wall and advances towards Last Hearth. The bands have also changed. No longer branded with the sigils of the prominent houses, they now depict events throughout the series, including the Night King's ice dragon breaking down the wall, the Red Wedding, and Daenerys' 3 dragons, along with the Red Comet from all the way back in Season 1. As the scene opens up, we see Winterfell from the perspective of a young boy, trying to get some good seats for the arrival of the former King of the North, Jon Snow, the North's new queen, Daenerys, and her massive army.
I got the horses in the bag, horse stock is attached.
We also see a not so young Arya Stark watching from the crowd, a scene that mirrors the arrival of the Baratheons back in Season 1. She spots the Hound and Gendry in tow for the first time in years, so you know awkward reunions are inbound. Now, if you're a fan of the series, you'll know that the North remembers. So the people of Winterfell aren't too excited by the arrival of a new ruler, let alone a Targaryen queen with 2 full-grown dragons. We get an awesome transition into an overview shot of Winterfell because it's 2019, baby, and we need our sweet drone shots. Next is a nice little family reunion between Jon and Meme Lord Bran. He has earned this title after the insane amount of memes he's incited since the release of this episode. At the meeting of the houses, Jon gets his life tried by Lyanna Mormont. "You left Winterfell to king and came back a bitch," is what she was going to say, in case you were wondering. Jon sticks to his guns though, and Tyrion even tries to stick up for him, while subtly letting them know that the Lannisters are joining them to fight against the Night King. Over at the Forge, we see Gendry supervising the unloading of recently received obsidian, which he'll need to start making some badass weapons we'll be seeing this season. We get another reunion, this time between Jon and Arya. He notices she still has Needle, and asks if she's had to use it. He then shows off Longclaw, his Valyrian steel blade. This scene is another great callback to Season 1, and really gives a feel that everything's coming full circle. Their encounter makes it apparent that a lot's happened since they left Winterfell. Over in King's Landing, Cersei's doing her bad bitch queen thing, and gets word that the dead are through the wall, to her pleasure. See, her plan is to betray the treaty made last season and have the White Walkers and Daenerys' forces destroy each other, and then obliterate whoever's left standing. I mean, pretty whack. She's also got the entire Iron Fleet, along with the Golden Company, a group of expensive sellswords, now arriving, ready to kick ass and chew bubblegum. On the ship, we meet up with one of my top 5 least favorite characters, Euron Greyjoy. He's hanging out with his niece/captive, Yara Greyjoy. For a brief moment, you think that you're seeing a humanizing side of Euron, but it doesn't take long for his true colors to show. At the Great Hall, Cersei meets with Euron and the Golden Company captain, Harry Sticklin, who reports that they have 20,000 men, 2,000 horses, but no elephants? Come on, man, we heard you had elephants. Cersei is definitely disappointed. As Sticklin pardons himself from the meeting, Euron takes a shot. Can you believe it? Even after delivering the new hot tweet of the week, Cersei silently gives in and lets this creep slide into her personal quarters. I have no words. We transition over to the brothel, where we see Bronn in company of 3 gossipy ladies, chatting about the recent attack at Blackwater that left a lot of their patrons dead or severely injured. They're interrupted by Hand of the Queen, Qyburn, who's got a special request directly from the Queen herself. See, she wants Bronn to take out her traitorous brothers using the same crossbow Tyrion used to kill their father, Tyrell Lannister.
That fucking family.
You said it, brother. We're back at the ship, where a kick-ass raid is taking place under the cover of night. Theon Greyjoy bursts through the door to save his sister, who, let's not forget, he totally left to die with Psycho Uncle Euron. He sets her free and immediately gets a headbutt to the face, which was deserved, but just as quickly, he gets offered a hand, and all seems good. They take the ship, which is kind of puzzling to me because weren't they surrounded by the Iron Fleet Armada? Anyway, they part ways. Yara goes to reclaim the Iron Islands, while Theon goes to fight alongside the Starks. Back in Winterfell, more volunteers and reinforcements show up as the three old wise dudes, Tyrion, Varys, and Davos, discuss affairs as preparations are made for the fight to come. They eye Jon and Daenerys being really friendly and contemplate the future of the Seven Kingdoms. Daenerys gets word that her dragons haven't been eating, so she goes to investigate, and it turns out the boys aren't fans of the North, according to Mom. So she decides to let them spread their wings and go out for a ride.
I don't know how to ride a dragon.
Nobody does, until they ride a dragon.
They take off, and by now, that little reveal from the end of last season should start making a lot of sense. Even after a heart-dropping nosedive, we see Jon able to ride those dragons. The two find a nice little spot
and share an intimate moment together,
with the protective kids keeping a close eye on Jon. That reunion I promised is finally here. While hammering away at some new dragon glass weapons, Gendry gets interrupted by the Hound, here to pick up a special order battle axe that's definitely gonna rack up some kills this season. I mean, that thing is so badass. After a quick insult or two, we see none other than Arya creep up on the two. Some classic banter ensues between Arya and the Hound, their way of being happy that the other's still alive. But Arya isn't here just to chat. She needs a new weapon herself, one that she can use in the fight against the White Walkers, and one I expect will rack up a nice list of kills on her own. We get a quick scene of Sansa and Jon discussing Jon's decision to bend the knee, but it's a short-lived one, as Jon plays the "have faith in me" card to convince Sansa a mistake hadn't been made. Finally, we see one of the purest characters in Game of Thrones, Sam Tarly. He's found by Daenerys and Jon, who he managed to cure of an almost uncurable disease last season. She wants to extend her thanks for saving Jon, and seems to find Sam charming and quaint when he requests a pardon for borrowing some books from the Citadel. Things are about to get a lot more awkward though. Looks like Sam also took a sword that belonged to his family. Daenerys immediately recognizes his family name, and Sam confirms his father is Randall Tarly. Was Randall Tarly. Without a wavering thought, she tells Sam his father's been incinerated for not bending the knee alongside his brother, Dickon. This causes Sam to struggle through tears, which just isn't right. He excuses himself and runs into Meme Lord Bran, who's waiting for an old friend to show up. In the meantime, he wants Sam to finally break the news to Jon about his real parents. With what just happened, Sam's pretty reluctant, which is really understandable, but goes through with it anyway. Sam finds Jon in the crypt where Ned Stark lies, the perfect setting, as back in season 1, Ned told Jon he'd tell him the truth the next time they saw each other. Rest in peace, dog. After an awkward recap of the events prior, Sam starts dropping major truth bombs on Jon about his mother, his father, and his real destiny as the true heir of the Iron Throne. Jon's reaction to the news is pretty understandable, as he tries to process the new information, including the thought in the back of his head that he may have just shagged his aunt. You did, my guy, and we're all just gonna have to keep on going. Blown away by all these revelations, Jon is left uncertain with what to do next. Back over at Last Hearth. You know, that place I mentioned at the beginning of the video? We see our favorite wild man, Tormund, searching the area for anyone with a pulse. They explore the area in almost complete darkness before running into a group of crows, who almost mistake them for White Walkers.
Stay back, he's got blue eyes!
I've always had blue eyes!
Perfect comedic timing. With one last callback to the earlier seasons, we see some intense wall art courtesy of the Night King. At the center, Lord Umber. You remember that little guy from the meeting earlier in the episode? With several human appendages spiraling around him. Seriously, the stuff of nightmares. Just as they're getting ready to leave and get word to the others that the Night Army is closer than expected, the kid comes back to life, which, I'm just gonna say it, actually got me pretty good. He's immediately impaled by Lord Barrick's fire sword, but instead of going peacefully, the resurrected Umber continues to shriek out as the fire spreads to the appendages, burning an image into my eyes forever. Way to go, Game of Thrones. As the final scene, we're back in Winterfell, where more volunteers are arriving to fight. Looking scruffy as ever, Jaime Lannister dismounts his horse and surveys the area. My first thought, was he sitting there all night? Thanks for checking out the recap. We hope you've been entertained. If you want to support the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. This is Adrian A. Later.